a village where we see a farmer coming near a lake with his sheep and goat. It was raining here because he had come to catch fish, and his neighbor was catching frogs. Suddenly, they see a large egg with something moving inside it, which frightens and surprises them. However, the farmer and his neighbor are unaware that a big monster is approaching them. Just then, the lake monster emerges from the water and attacks them, causing everyone to panic and scream. The farmer's wife hears their scream, so she immediately rushes there, but she finds no one except her husband. From here, it becomes clear that the lake monster has killed and eaten everyone, including her husband. The incident is reported to the police, and a detective named James arrives at the scene with his colleagues to investigate the case. Seeing the marks of injuries on the corpses, he realizes that it is the work of a very large and dangerous monster. After this, we see a little girl wandering near the same lake with her brother. She notices a large footprint, but ignores it and moves on. Suddenly, they spot the large egg, which the girl brings home. Her brother is happy to see the egg because he thinks they will cook it. However, their older sister forbids them from breaking the egg and advises throwing it away, fearing it might be a monster's egg. Hearing this, the little girl gets angry and takes the egg outside. The egg is still shaking, but the creature inside is trying to come out. The little girl sits by it, waiting for the creature to emerge, unaware of the great danger she is in. Just then, they see the big monster that was eating animals and approaching them. After a long time of her not returning home, her brother and sister go looking for her. When they reach the edge of the lake, they see her sandal floating in the water, which makes her sister start crying. She fears that her sister has drowned. Therefore, her brother goes into the water to find her. However, they soon realize that there is a serious problem because they sense someone approaching. Then, a nature monster emerges from the lake and attacks him, but he manages to escape and comes out of the water, and both siblings start running. Just then, the nature monster also comes out of the water and begins to chase them. The monster attacks the farmers working in the field. As a result, people start running for their lives, but the monster's speed is very fast. It kills everyone one by one. Only Lynn and her brother survive, hiding in the bushes to save themselves. Seizing the opportunity, Lynn comes out onto the road with her sister because she wants to get away from there. Her brother gets injured. They manage to escape by getting into a car that passes by. Thus, both of them save their lives from the dangerous monster and this horrific place. But they do not know that the story of the monster's attack on humanity has just begun, as the creature then goes to wreak havoc in the town of Hansi. Lynn takes her brother to the hospital immediately, and the doctors treat their injuries. Soon, the police also learn about the monster's attack, and it is revealed that there are two survivors, Mr. Lynn and her brother. Therefore, the police captain interrogates Lynn about it. Lynn tells them about the nature of the monster that came from the lake, and that it brutally killed all the farmers. But the captain does not believe her. He sets out to go to the police station, but he is unaware that the creature has already attacked a center. When the captain is informed about this, he immediately heads to the center, but by then it is too late, as there are only corpses found and no one is alive. Seeing the condition of the body, the captain becomes convinced that all this destruction is the work of the monster coming from the lake. Therefore, he begins to plan to kill it with his. In the meantime, they discover that the cause of the attack is in the lake itself, as the monster uses it. Now, they must capture that nature by any means. Hence, the captain forms two different teams. One team is led by Detective James, and they devise a plan on how to capture the nature. As James is about to leave, he receives another bad news that he must go to his daughter's school. James's daughter is a very troubled girl who often gets into fights at school. Today, she has also caused a ruckus at school. Therefore, James has to go to the school. He apologizes to the principal and takes his daughter with him, heading to the lake to lead his team on what to do. Meanwhile, Lynn's brother, who is taking care of him in the hospital, has a terrifying dream in which he is trying to fight and defeat the creature. He wakes up and tries to talk to his sister, but he realizes that he has lost his ability to speak due to the creature's attack. He notices that his brother's behavior has become quite strange. There is also a change in his physical condition, and a liquid is oozing from his body, which came from his nature and was also on the egg. He begins to have random thoughts about the monster. Lynn quickly writes everything down on a piece of paper so that she can find out her location at this time where she is. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, the police captain arrives at the center with his team to catch the creature. Here, Lynn shows the captain the paper written by her brother and explains that her brother can lead her to the monster. Then he sets out to find the creature. Her brother points towards a building and indicates that the creature is there. Therefore, they start throwing bombs at that creature. The creature is unharmed, but it becomes enraged and attacks them. It starts throwing them around. However, the people manage to surround the creature from all sides. By attacking it with their dangerous weapons, they finally succeed in trapping it in a net. But as they are beating the monster, we see that Lynn's brother is also in pain. Lynn realizes that her brother has somehow connected with the nature of the monster. That's why she goes to the spot where people were trying to kill it. To stop them, Lynn goes to the police captain and says, "Stop them, or my brother will die." Hearing this, when the captain checks, he finds that the marks on the creature are also present on Lynn's brother's body. Therefore, the captain has no choice but to capture the creature. He locks it in his car to save it from death and tells his companions to keep an eye on the creature. However, the others do not want the creature to be left alive. Therefore, they urge the police to kill the monster from all sides, clearly indicating that Lynn's brother's life was also in danger. Meanwhile, Detective James and his team reach the other side, where they find a large egg along with the same large footprint, which makes them realize that the footprint belongs to the lake monster, which is the other main monster and must still be in the water because the size of the footprint was very large, while the creature causing the havoc had a smaller footprint, which makes James understand that there is not just one but several monsters here. Then they receive news of a survivor who had survived the monster's attack, and that survivor is none other than Lynn. Seeing this, Detective James is quite shocked, but he is relieved to know that Lynn had been in front of the monster for so long but had not yet killed it. She is still alive. Additionally, she also has the monster's egg that she had run away with from home. After this, Detective James gets into his car and sees a very large, terrifying thing in the lake. As it comes into view, it is actually the largest nature monster, and the footprint belonged to it. Whatever nature was wreaking havoc in the city was a companion of this monster. Upon seeing it, the team start firing bullets. Hearing the gunfire, Detective James also arrives there, but he sees no one else. He only sees the blood on the car. This means that the large monster had killed everyone. Just then, he spots an officer sitting in front who had managed to save his life by hiding in the car, and suddenly the giant monster appears there. It looks most dangerous. Seeing it, James hides behind the car, but then he realizes that his daughter is also in the car. So he contacts his daughter through the radio and tells her to hide. Just then, his daughter notices the egg, which is shaking. As soon as the lake monster sees the egg, it starts coming towards it because this egg belongs to it. Scared, James's daughter starts screaming, but Lynn calms her down. Both are very frightened. The nature monster comes to the car window and starts hitting it to retrieve its egg, which had been stolen. Now, with it hitting, both their lives are in danger. Seeing this, James becomes worried about his daughter. He steps forward and starts shooting at the monster. This angers the monster, and it attacks James with its strength, causing him to fall into the water. Seeing this, the remaining officers come to help James and pull him out of the water. They also take the gas tank out of the car while the monster is busy retrieving its egg. Soon, it breaks the window. Now Lynn is saved, but James's daughter starts screaming. She was inside the car, but before the monster could kill her, the officer throws the gas tank at it and fires at it. This causes a loud explosion, but the officer is shocked to see that the explosion did nothing to the monster, and now it starts moving towards the officer. It roars loudly at him, causing him to flee in fear. The monster then comes back to the car to retrieve its egg, and this time it pulls it out with its claws. James's daughter immediately jumps out of the car and starts running, realizing that the monster was waiting for her to come out. She goes to it and first roars at it, then attacks it fiercely with her claws. Seeing this, James immediately comes out. To save his daughter, he shoots at a gas tank. Once again, there is a loud explosion in front of the monster, but it still remains unharmed and now leaves his daughter to attack James fiercely. But before it could kill James, people hear numerous sounds of things being killed in the city. Therefore, it leaves James and starts heading towards the city. This gives James the opportunity to save his companion. He picks up his daughter and begins to take her to the nearest hospital. But on the way, he realizes that her condition is very bad and she is bleeding profusely from her injuries. So he tries to stop her bleeding, but in front of James, his daughter dies eyes, causing him to start crying. The police captain was telling people not to kill the creature, but they did not know that a very large giant monster was coming towards them, destroying everything in its path. Before long, the large nature monster arrives at the place where the other monsters were. Seeing it trapped in a car makes the nature monster very angry, and it begins to attack everyone violently. Seeing this, people get scared. They quickly start to run to save their lives, but the monster attacks them. It moves forward to save its companion, causing chaos everywhere. The monster traps some people in a bus. As it moves forward to eat them, everyone starts screaming. However, the monster moves on without eating those people. To save its companion, everyone realizes that the monster did not come to harm them. So they go and inform the police because the monster's real target is the captain, who had captured the monster's companion. Knowing what has happened, the captain realizes his mistake, that they should not have captured the lake creature. So he orders his companions to leave the vehicle with the creature and go far away, as the lake monster was coming in that direction. The rest of the people start sitting in the bus to leave and save their lives from the city. But Lynn's brother realizes that he is sick, infected. Due to the monster's attack, he should not go with them because he could pose a threat to others as well. Therefore, he starts moving towards his teacher. Although he is told not to go, he does not listen to anyone. Saying a final goodbye to his sister, he sits in the vehicle where the nature monster was. Meanwhile, Lynn's brother wanted to save everyone from the big nature, so he starts driving the vehicle with the creature. This makes the trapped monster start screaming. Its voice was also heard by the nature monster, so it starts chasing that vehicle. But Lynn's brother drives the car very fast and gets out of the city, thus saving the lives of the others. Lynn becomes very sad. The next morning, when the remaining people return, they also find Lynn, who hugs her and cries a lot. James also wanted to take revenge on the monster for his daughter's death, and he somewhat suspects that Lynn is somehow connected to that monster. When he talked to the captain about this, he orders that the case should be reinvestigated because they did not want more people to know about the lake monster or be in danger. For this reason, James quits his police job because he wanted to take revenge on the one responsible for his daughter's death, and his police force was preventing him from doing so. Meanwhile, we see that Lynn's brother and the monsters had gone somewhere. Then we see a scene 5 years later where Lynn has grown a bit, but she still used to go to that place. But she was unaware that James had been searching for her for the past 5 years, and today he finally finds her sitting by the lake, where she was with her farm animals. Then one day the monster comes out of the lake and eats a crowd, but the interesting thing was that it was not attacking Lynn. In fact, it was quite close to her, and Lynn was loving it. It seemed as if they were very close friends. Seeing this, James gets very angry. So when Lynn returns home, James follows her. He comes and accuses her, saying, "My daughter's death was because of you." Suddenly, a small lake monster comes and attacks James, but before it can take his life, James burns it with his eyes and escapes to save himself. Now, James decides to kill the monster, but before he does, he sees Lynn sitting next to the injured monster, her eyes filled with sadness at seeing the monster's condition. She felt bad for the monster. Seeing this, James realizes that taking revenge will not bring his daughter back, but it will increase the danger for others. If he does something to this monster, it will not end well. So he decides not to kill the monster, but to learn the truth about nature. Lynn takes him to a place and tells him to go inside a hill. He goes inside, but we see that like her brother, Lynn also has snake-like worms coming out of her mouth. Is she also changing from within and will become a monster like her brother? Because anyone infected by the monster changes their body and becomes a monster too. Meanwhile, James slowly starts to move forward. There he finds his brother's clothes stained with blood. Then he sees a light. When he goes near it, he realizes that it is a temple where people worship a monster instead of someone else, as there were paintings of monsters on the wall. But before he can reach any conclusion, he hears someone breathing behind him. When he turns around, there is no one but a monster, which has been waiting for James to arrive. This means that now it will also kill James, because the one who loves the monster, who does not say anything to them, the monster also loves them, does not say anything. But if someone hurts the monster, who tries to harm it, then the monster does not spare them. With this, the film ends.